Look at this really dramatic lighting. This is pretty crazy, and I'm about to eat strawberries on camera. Just a June 21st at 9:47 p.m. check-in. I don't know what to do with this YouTube channel anymore because I don't only just read books. I also play video games and watch movies sometimes. So sometimes I want to call it like perpetual media, but then I'm also like, oh, I already put myself in that box. But I'm also like, what if I'm too tall for that box? I don't know. Like, I don't know. Life's pretty good. Summer break. I don't got classes. I'm about to just make this like an e-journal or something. Why does my ear look like that? Okay. It's been going good. Just playing a lot of video games. I recently bought Tainted Grail: Fall of Avalon. It's like a King Arthur game, which makes me want to read T.H. White's Once and Future King and maybe some L'Amour d'Arthur by Sir Thomas Malory, I think. I just want to like re-up on that shit because who knows if King Arthur was real or not. But even like the old like Icelandic and Danish tales, there's a lot of King Arthur in there. So that's always nice, but I don't know if he's real. I don't know him. But been playing that. I kind of play. I actually play this really old NCAA football game on emulation. On the PC, was it called PCSX2? Um, I play NCAA football '06, and I actually like run a dynasty mode. So I like pick a team, and then I play as that team for like years and years and years. I play like one game every couple days. I also do the same thing for this NASCAR game on my computer. I've always liked racing games, and I have an old NASCAR game that I like kind of have a career mode on. It's just like time fillers, to be honest. I recently watched not Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The Hills Have Eyes, the original one from the '70s, is very creepy. I watched it on the Internet Archive for free. Fun fact. And you know, this channel is called something about shelves, so I'm about to go over what I've been reading recently. I also played a lot of Fallout New Vegas, and I finally beat it after like 16 years of playing it and kind of just only doing side quests. I sided with NCR because here's the thing: NCR is like typical government rule, and I don't like that. But I'm also not a fan of Caesar's Legion because this just killing for the sake of killing. And yes, the trade routes are safe with them in control because they're really good traders, they're really good merchants. But I think you have to do a classic pros and cons and weigh them out type thing. And at the end of the day, if the trade routes suffer a little bit, but people aren't just dying all the time and getting like slaughtered and ate and shit like that, I'm chilling. I'm just gonna have typical government rule. There's also like the great cons and Yes Man and shit. Yes Man, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of AI, so a whole region being ran by like a bunch of robots and like a dude in a cryo chamber. Nah, I'm not a subscriber to that newsletter. But yeah, Fallout New Vegas. It's actually I've been reading up on like the development and like the developers and the writers and the narrative designers, and it's almost like maybe want to not go to school anymore for what I'm going to school for, and doing like narrative, like computer science, comp sci. But I also like you can not have a degree in a lot of things and still do other things. But yeah, so the glare on this video is gonna be terrible. Let me finish my strawberry. All right, so we got the Saga of the Volsung, which is a Icelandic tale from Viking Age, just like a collection of poems from back in the day. It says it's from the 4th and 5th centuries, like oral narratives, and they kind of put them all together. into what they call the saga of the Volsungs, you know? Um, it inspired J.R.R. Tolkien in The Lord of the Rings, because there is a short bit I've gotten to in this where it's kind of like a ring with power. Sounds familiar. There's a lot of the same, like, there's a lot of characters that pop up and go away. Um, Very monster of the week, kind of, if you're talking about like anime. This book is like that. You'll have a character named, like, there's a character named Sigurd, Sigurd. I don't know, that might come across poorly in the video. But then there's Sigmund, and then there's like Fafnir. I think it's like a dragon. So Sigurd is a dragon slayer, and I think his father's sword breaks in half, and then he takes his father's sword to a smith and is like, make this shit straight, dog. And the smith does it, and then he's like, I'm gonna go kill a dragon with my dad's sword, and it's Father's Day, IRL. So that's interesting. I might have got the father detail wrong, but it's that, along the lines of that. There's a lot of just typical like word deed themes from like early medieval stuff. A lot of like, I said I'm gonna do this. Yes, I'm gonna die in this battle, but it's important that I die. You know, yeah, it's important that I go out good, instead of there being tales told about how I retreated and was a little pussy and shit like that. Real shit. So there's just a lot of like typical, like, even though my army has 500 people and their army has 150,000, I'm still going to become a legend by at least trying to fight the bigger army instead of cowering in fear. So there's a lot of that. So like every few pages, someone is like, I vow to do this, and then they either succeed or they die, and it kind of is a cycle. And the Volsung is a family. It's a saga, obviously. And so starts off, I forget the names. I'm really bad with names, but there's like an OG, and then they have a son, and then they have 10 sons and a daughter. The daughter gets married to such and such, and the 10 sons, I think all but one son ends up dying. About this, excuse me. But overall, it's really fun. I mean, it's like a really slim. I keep doing the wrong side. Like, it's nothing. Half of it is a glossary. But yeah, if you're into like Viking type shit, Scandinavian literature or Icelandic sagas, that's crazy. Check this out. The next book I read and got like really far in and then just kind of dropped because I lost steam was, I bought this copy of Dune with like a random test I've had from my last semester. I'm at page 605, and I think this is a pretty good book. The writing is kind of not the greatest. It's just like kind of boring at times. There's a lot of fluff in this book, and I get it that it's probably more influential than good, and that's a real thing. So there, there's Paul, and there's a little bit of primogeniture action going on where his father, the Duke, dies, and I think he's next in line. But then he has like a brother, I believe, that's like, hell nah, like that's my shit. Overall, I think this is a good book. I mean, I haven't finished it, so take it with a grain of salt. But there's just parts of the book where I feel like you could just straight up cut like a good 50 pages, 100 pages out of like a certain part of the book, and you would be just fine. Like random, I don't want to say lore dumps, that's not true, but just random, like, just conversations, and you're like, I know what you're getting at. Like, I know water is precious, and there's a spice thing, and there's all this and that, but it's like, we've already established this like way before, so why you gotta keep bringing it up, dog? Like, trust the reader. You ain't gotta just say like the same shit over and over again. I'm in the Muad'Dib part, not the Messiah part, so I haven't gotten to like the third arc or the third part of the book. I don't know if I'm going to finish this anytime soon. I kind of got bored, so I just put it down. Also, this edition is I don't normally buy, I keep going on the wrong side. I don't normally buy like the mass market paperbacks, but something about reading sci-fi on a mass market paperback is legit as fuck. Because like a lot of, I don't know if it's just like me being picky or some sort of tism, but a lot of the fantasy paperbacks are like those really big, like awkwardly square paperbacks, and I'm like, nah, bro. Like, I want like a normal size book. This is not a normal size book either, but it works better for my hands. I have short fingers. Look at my fingers. That's crazy. But if you haven't read Dune, I mean, pick it up, give it a shot. It's like this edition. It's like $12. A little bit of poetry I've been getting at is Water by Rumi, translated by Hala Lisa Ghaffori. I think I brought this up in the last video. Honestly, I don't know if it's the translation. That's a little bit above my pay grade. But there's some poems in this book. Poetry is weird because I believe that poetry really does take time. I mean, at one point I was reading one book of poetry by Elizabeth Bishop for like 6 months. Like, I'd read like one poem every couple of days for like 6 months before I was like, oh, okay, I think I get it. This is like my designated poetry book. And the only one that's really stuck with me, unfortunately, like, it's about 100 pages, but the only one that's really stuck with me, where's it at? I circled it. Of course, now I can't find it, but hold on. Yeah, and these don't have real titles, but there's one that just says, this one right here. Hold on. Let me get the lighting right. This one right there. I drank the soul's wine. It set me ablaze. Now, like a moth, the sun flutters around my fire. I thought that one was pretty cool. I'm a sucker for like real short poems. And there's a lot of like love, like capital L love in this book, and soul, capital S soul. And that poem to me is just really cool because it's like he drank the soul's wine. So like he's ingesting the soul, or like what the soul yields, you know. And now he's a fire, like he's on fire. Not literally probably, but like he is like a phoenix rising, like he's awakened. And now he's so enlightened and so awake, so woke, if you so woke that the sun flies around him. Crazy shit. Yeah. I don't know. Poetry's hard to be like, oh, I recommend it. Check it out. But like, hell yeah. If you like poetry, check this one out. This one is like I like NYRB editions because they all have like the uniform paintings and covers. Dope. I also read, this was fun. So I also read And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, mainly because there is a quest in the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion called Who Done It, and the foundation and basis of that quest took a lot of inspiration from And Then There Were None, because I think in the game and in the book it's 10 people that get invited to like a big mansion, and in the game you're the killer, you're the hidden killer, but in the book people just keep dropping, you know, one after the other. There's like a nursery rhyme like, and then there were 9, and then there were 8, and there were 7, and they all die like according to the poem. Why do I look like a crackhead? And this book was really fun. It was a really easy read. It's like one of those books, like, and this isn't bad, but it's one of those books where you can kind of just like turn your brain off and like read sentence by sentence and say like, oh, that's crazy. Like, oh, damn, she died. Oh, damn, he hung herself. And it's just fun. This is the only Agatha Christie I've ever read, and the Barnes and Noble I live next to or by is like littered with her stuff. Obviously, I mean, there's like a part of this where there's just like so much work. Hold on. Like so much. She did so much. Like, I mean, like all this. Oh shit, wrong side. Like, that's all Agatha Christie. Like, prolific queen. You know what I'm saying? I just realized these strawberries say bonjour on them. Yeah, I recommend this. This is a fun little read. Fun little turn your brain off read. This made me want to play Elder Scrolls Oblivion again and go kill a group of rich people in the game. Let me be clear. Another book I read that is kind of weird, and I don't know how I feel about it. I bought this big ass fucking tome of Roger Zelazny's Zelazny's Amber Chronicles. I mean, like, you could throw this at somebody and you'd be in prison. Um, it's 10 books in one, and each book is probably like 150 pages. I've only read the first book, the Nine Princes in Avalon, or Nine Princes in Amber. I was thinking of it something else. It's this dude named Corwin, and I still don't really. This is like a weird book, and I kind of felt dumb because I was like, I feel like I should understand more. But it starts off. He's like, I think he's in a car wreck, and he's like going home from work or going somewhere, and then he gets in a car wreck, and then he like something happens, and I honestly don't remember, but something happens where he crosses into like a parallel world, and the parallel is medieval, and he finds out he is one of 9 contenders to be the Prince of Amber in the medieval world. And then there's this thing in the book called like shadow, like capital S shadow, where it's like, I don't know if it's like a literal shadow, but the real world in the book, when your real person casts a shadow, their shadow is like them in the parallel world, I think. And then they also, in the medieval world, I think this also crosses from the IRL to the medieval world in the book, but he has like a deck of cards with the other princes on him, and he can like lay down the card and then talk to them and say like, oh, Prince, blah, 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 or my competitor, whatever, like, we should probably team up, but you're my rival and shit like that. Because this thing is so big, I probably will just read like one of these books every few months. It isn't, I think it's a 10 book series. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, allegedly the first 5 are really good, and then the last 5 kind of suck because he had to like rush to finish them. Either that or he died. Roger Zelazny died. He's also the author of Lord of Light. I think it's like one of Tim Kane's favorite books, and Tim Kane, the dude who created Fallout, it's one of his favorite books, so I should probably check that out too. It's at the local library because I actually checked it out one time and never read it. Shame on me. Cool little sci-fi bit. I might check out I Am Legend, or I started making a little Word document of like all the Hugo winners and Nebula winners, because I don't read a lot of fantasy and sci-fi, but I'm like into stuff like that, like I'm into video games like that. So I was like, I need to do my homework on the literary side of things and start doing that. Like I'll show you. Hold on. Yeah, I got like this. Like you got 2025, 4, 3. I've heard of Nettle and Bone and the 3 Body Problem. Oh, and N.K. Jensen's. I can't talk. Look at that dramatic lighting. The 5th season, I've heard that's good. I also want to read Game of Thrones because Skyrim took a lot of influence from Game of Thrones. I'm about to eat another strawberry. Hold on. Let me take this one's hair off. Look at that. Now he bald. But the last book I'm reading is Wallace Stegner and the Continental Vision, Essays on Literature, History, and Landscape, edited by Kurt Miney, which I have written a letter to and got a response. And then I think my girlfriend threw away the letter. So that's fun. Love it. But that's fine. It's just what it sounds like. Wallace Stegner, I like a lot of his books. Angle of Repose, short story collections. I haven't read Big Rock Candy Mountain. I also want to read. I've read Remembering Laughter. But he's a really solid writer. He's just, I don't know, like, it's been a minute. He's actually someone I've recently been like, I need to go back and like reread some stuff, because I just like a lot of his subject matter. A lot of it's about, so when he was a kid, he moved around a lot. I think at one point he was like, no joke, in a different state like every 6 months for like most of his teenage years. So he never really had like a home, like a stable. not stable in terms of family, but like he literally did not have like a hometown. So he got old and then kind of like went back on, and like he had memories from XYZ, and he ended up determining like my hometown is this. He lived in Saskatchewan. He lived in Vermont, Utah, I believe, like Salt Lake City. I might be wrong on that, but he kind of put together his own home, and I think he ended up settling down like somewhere in California, but I might be wrong too. So a lot of his books are just about like traveling and being kinetic and moving around a lot. But also there's still a lot of like family and things like that. Like your family can survive through all that. I mean, it's a lot. He's also a really popular conservationist. He was, I guess, arguably more famous for his nonfiction, like his treatises and the book called Beyond the 100th Meridian, which is about John Wesley Powell's explorations, I think, in the West, just general West, maybe more so Nevada, that area. But, excuse me. I haven't read this edition in a while, and so like I'm slowly doing like a couple of pages at a time, like a chapter at a time. There's like sections. There's literally like a history section. I think there's actually an essay about just him being a teacher, like Wallace Stegner was a teacher. And I find some of it inspirational because I'll admit I'm not the best conservationist. Like I still probably don't recycle as much as I should, and like just I don't think I am wasteful, but I don't think I'm exactly saving anything. And reading a lot of his books and the nonfiction he wrote kind of made me want to like be more actively involved in cleaning up rivers and volunteer work and fighting for, hey, don't build this shit here in this wildflower field, like that's corny, but like I live in a town that is experiencing like a rapid growth right now, and it definitely feels weird because there's a lot of places where it used to be cows and horses and it's just nothing but green grass, and now it's like student housing and apartments and gas stations and car washes, and you're just like, you don't want to sound like an old man, but you're literally like, what happened to all the green? What happened to the bugs on my windshield? Now I don't see them anymore. Yeah, I don't know. So after that's about what I've been reading. It's been a mishmash. Like I said at the beginning, I've been doing some reading. My reading has probably slowed down over the last year, mainly because of school, but I also, I think I've found my normal pace because for a while I was trying to, I think subconsciously just read like a lot, but with that pressure behind it of like reading a lot so I can talk about it, so I can like say, oh, I've read like 50 books this year. But at the end of the day, like if you want to read a lot of books, then read a lot of books. But I don't think it matters if I read and there were none in a year, or not a year. I think if I read and there were none in 2 days versus reading and there were none in a month, I don't think there's really a difference. And for me, where I have a little bit of ADHD tendencies, sometimes I think the short bursts of only reading like a chapter or two a day and taking a month to read like a 250, 300 page book might actually do me better than trying to cram like a 250 page book in a couple days. The last book I remember doing that was Ernest J. Gaines' A Gathering of Old Men. So like it can be done for me, but I find that I think I'm naturally a slower reader, but the slowness helps marinate a lot of details that otherwise would just like in one ear out the other, in one eye out the other, whatever. I also have other hobbies, which is like a weird existential crisis. So I go to school for English, so like I'm kind of like, and I've always on and off written like poetry and short stories, and nothing that's really like honestly crazy. Like I wrote like a very short story just about like it's funny because it's kind of like a medieval Viking family, and the protagonist goes off. He has a sick son, and he goes off to kill a deer, but he finds a fawn, and he's like, I gotta kill this fawn. But then when he tries to shoot the bow, he has a bow and arrow. When he tries to bring the tension to the bow snaps, and then the fawn runs off, and he has to go home and tell his sick son and his angry wife that they don't got food. That was like my short story. Um, I forgot where I was going with that, but as an English major, like I still do my English major things, but um, I've learned that being an English major is strangely competitive because there's a lot of people. Um, I went to school at a later age. I went to school when I was 24, so I'm 28 now. I've taken some time off in between, but what I've noticed is it's strangely competitive because you get a lot of people who like they are like flying through their poetry, flying through their short stories. They're submitting left and right. I mean, I think there's a website where the person who made this website I think is known for writing, like that's their full-time thing. They were like, yeah, I submit to like 45 things a year or like a month or something, and I was like, that's crazy, because I was kind of encouraged to do the opposite, like write maybe a handful of poems a year, a handful of poems every 6 months, and just submit them to like the best of the best. Like, don't worry about the small presses unless you just don't have any success, you know? So like, that's kind of where I'm at, where I'm like, there's people that are younger than me that are super, super competitive and are getting published more than I am, because I've gotten a couple of places. I've gotten a couple of poems published just in like smaller, more local lit mags. But like I think I've made one submission to the Georgia Review, and that was like 8 or 9 months ago, and I've not submitted anything elsewhere since. Sorry, that's off track, but just super competitive, and it makes me feel like an imposter because I'm like, yeah, I do my poems and I submit them to like a couple places a year, and usually, I mean, just the luck, you know, the math is gonna say you're gonna get rejected. So I just like submit it and keep it pushing. Like, I don't really think that much about it, which sometimes makes me feel weird because I also have writer friends who like they are working on their shit like 24/7, like don't do anything else but write and write and write, like typical writer people, you know. But then I write, and I like to think I write pretty well, but then I also play video games. I also make mixed media collages like every once in a while. I also take care of my pets. I also go metal detecting. I also go hang out with friends sometimes, and also drink beer sometimes. And sometimes I just like, yeah, I have a bookshelf behind me, and there's books on it I like, but sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to read or write right now. And so sometimes I'm like, am I a writer? Like, should I be an English major? Which I feel good about being in my major, but I don't know if maybe it's just a total me problem. But I'm just like, oh man, like you see the competitive fire of the younger people, and you're like, shit, is this a young man's game or a young woman's game? Sorry, I'm trying to include everybody. A young person's game is probably what I should have said. I don't want to make it binary if it doesn't have to be. So yeah, there's that. So that's just like general. I don't think that's a negative thing, but it's just something I've noticed where there's a poet named Ansel Elkins who I read not an interview, but I have a clip or like a piece of paper of something she said, and they were basically like, yeah, it gets competitive and it's actually kind of toxic. So like, don't just like spam your submissions. Like, be picky. If you only get accepted like once in a while, like that's fine. Go have other hobbies. Like, don't feel like an imposter. That helped me feel a lot better. Let me eat the rest of the strawberry. But yeah, this video is almost 30 minutes long. I'm sorry. But yeah, I've been playing video games, eating strawberries, looking like or thinking about Vikings, looking at ancient artifacts. I, it, I have a buddy who develops video games, or wants to develop a video game, I should say. And there's a chance I might be the narrative director and or the like the writer of the narrative in the video game come the time it needs to be done. So that's exciting. Um, Honestly, that's kind of like this is probably something I should have gone to school for. I guess you could say I'm doing it now, but as a lifelong gamer and writer, it took me 28 years to be like, maybe I should like ask all my computer science friends and tell them to make a game so then I can be employed by them so then I can do what I like to do. You know what I mean? But yeah, 2 thumbs up. This was Noah. Sorry for the long video. I mean, I'm not that sorry. I got on the camera and turned it on. But yeah, hopefully the mic quality is good. Sometimes it's really quiet. Thanks.